Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonia, also known as SG from Let the Lady Speak podcast, where we discuss life, love, dating, and relationships. We also advocate for self-love, healing, and enjoying your singleness. Today we're reviewing Ready to Love season 4, and this is part 1 of the reunion. And guys, let me tell you, I tried to review this last night, so I watched it. And I was drained, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to come back with a fresh I'm gonna have to come back renewed so I can have a fresh open mind. And I just wanted to see how the next day felt to me. So we're gonna get into tonight's episode.
To get to the place that you wanted me to be. Oh, but now I'm ready. I'm ready to love.
So first up, we have the four couples sitting on the couch. Uncle Tommy asks, why did you guys choose to do the show, basically? And Liz said, honey, it's been 17 years and it's time. Jason said he had been basically doing the same thing for years and he wanted to try something different. Here's the thing. It's a great idea that if you're not getting the outcome you want, to reevaluate things, find out how you want to move forward, what's the goal you want, how do you achieve that goal, and try to plan in that way. Like if your outcome isn't matching your goal, it's time to reevaluate the plan. So, and the execution. So I appreciate the fact that Jason said, this isn't this, my way hasn't been working out. Let me try something different. And he said it worked out for him. Then they go down the road of KG and they talk about his return and everything that happened with KG and him coming back and getting with Amber, and him and Amber are still together. So Tommy asked, how's it going? And he said it was going good. They just went out, they talked, they text. We'll see. I'm waiting for like 6 months down the line to kind of see where their situation goes. And then Tommy asks, well, what do you guys think is the key, basically? How is it that you guys are able to work it out? And KG said communication, which communication, sex, and money are usually, and I'm gonna put integrity in there. Some people don't talk about integrity, but integrity, because if you have a person that has great integrity, they're not gonna do things that's gonna hurt you. So communication, sex, both parties having great integrity, and money, it can keep a relationship together, or lack of it can tear it apart, right? So we'll see. So next up, they're talking about Kyra and how all the guys shifted to Kyra. And throughout this episode, I was watching Jason's body language. And every time Kyra speaks, even before this, Jason like shifts himself. I don't know if he has a lot to say that he hasn't had to say, or what that is about, but I would like to explore that later. I am going to do like some videos on some of the cast members, Alexis being number one. I've been saying that from the beginning. Just what we can learn from them. I'm not here to tear anybody down. I'm not here to tear anybody apart, but there are lessons to be learned because, like I stated, the show mirrors what it's like to date in today's time. So there's something to be learned from everyone, right? When it comes down to the situation with Kyra, like sometimes I don't know why she's being kind of defensive. So they show where Alexis was stating that Kyra doesn't, she doesn't play checkers, she plays chess, she plays Monopoly. She's very strategic, and she is. And honestly, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it. But here's the thing: when you play any game, no matter the game, you have to know that you may win and you may lose, right? There's always somebody better and smarter, right? Always. So even if you're on top for a period of time, you may not stay there. And that's just part of the game. So as long as you can play that game and you're willing to take everything that comes with it, I'm like, hey, go for it. But again, sometimes we move against our interest. So Tressa stops by. She couldn't make the show, unfortunately, because her COVID test was positive. But my takeaway from Tressa is that she stated that she learned to date multiple people And that's actually a good idea. We are, as women, are often taught not to date multiple people because it makes us look bad. And I feel like that's something we really have to get over, because dating multiple people, you won't invest so much in a person that truly hasn't invested in you, right? You get to learn yourself. You get to practice this thing called dating, because there's definitely an art to it. And you also determine what you like and what you don't like. Sometimes you may believe that this is what you want, but once you date around, you find that there's other things that's important to you that, that person or person may not have. It really does teach you how to determine what is and what isn't important to you. That, of course, and along with self help and self healing, but in getting to know yourself. But the dating process, is good to date one person. Plus, you're not fully vested in one person that may or may not have invested themselves into you. I always say, if we haven't committed, if we haven't had a conversation where we said we're together and we are monogamous, I am dating whomever I want to date. Until we say that it's us, I'm dating, because you get yourself wrapped up, and that's how you get your feelings hurt. And you got to guard your heart. One of the things all women should do, all people should do, guard your heart. So don't give your heart away to somebody that's not worthy. Get out there and date, and until they commit themselves to you and you do the same to them, you're single. So next up, they revisit the two gentlemen that were sent home the same day, and that is Christian and Khalil. And they revisit the conversation that was had with Amber and Khalil when she asked him what's a personality trait that you would change your work on, and Khalil kept saying Mean Girls. And so Tommy said, "So what did you learn?" Khalil says that I could have dressed better. I'm like, okay. So basically, you haven't learned anything. Style is great. Everybody loves a little style and swagger, right? But the question is, what did you learn about yourself? So Khalil, sorry, just lets us know that he's not about to self-reflect. And if he is, you're not going to know anything about it. His big issue was communication. And then acknowledge, why do you feel like you keep picking mean girls? If you feel like they're not good for you, why are you picking mean girls? Like, that's a question you have to ask yourself. So I thought that was interesting. So next, we talk about Christian. Let's talk about Christian. So Christian, Tommy asked Christian, did you take the lady's advice? And he said, yeah, I've been on a few dates, and I've been kind of talking to somebody on the show. And it turned out to be Andrea. And the ladies were like, you need to ask her out. And it was so cute. He stood up and like got himself together. Andrea, would you like to talk later? Because I would like to take you out. Well, she said yes. I thought that was really cute. Listen, I have a special place in my heart for what's called like the quirkiness in people. And I love, like, there's certain things that I just love. I love nerds and I love little shy guys. Like, something about that is just endearing to me. But I have to be careful. And I know that. So that's another topic for another time. Anyway, I appreciate the ladies for supporting him. Like, they really have taken him under their wing, and they're like, let's help Christian out. We're going to get Christian a date. So I hope it works out with him and Andrea, or just he keeps working to get over his shyness. My first review, I know a lot of people probably haven't watched, but I talked about how he mentioned that he had a history of substance abuse. And I'm sure the substance was, meaning alcohol, was his liquid courage. And he now has to try to communicate and operate without the assistance of the substance. And that is really not easy to do. So I commend him for doing so. And, just for putting himself out there. It's really not easy to put yourself out there. I think a lot of people take for granted how hard it is to, operate and be vulnerable and share your life and talk to people. Like, for some people, that's really, really difficult. And so I commend Christian for doing so. So next we get back to Khalil, and they asked Khalil, is he dating? And he said, yeah, I'm dating someone on the show. And he says he's dating Ida. Ida said, we didn't talk about this. We didn't say that we were gonna go public today. And it's like, again, Khalil, communication, consideration, and respect for your partner is very important. So I don't know, Ida. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you this, girl. You look great, and I love your hair. I normally rock a pixie, and over the pandemic, I've just decided to try to do something different and go natural. But I love your hair. So we get to Ryan, and it talks about the journey with Alexis and Ryan. And basically, Ryan was playing games. Ryan had Chrysanthemum meet his mom. And so Alexis is like, oh, so she met your mom? And Ryan gives some crazy, yeah, she was close by and things like this. Long and short, this is really all I have to say about this section. When a person shows you who they are, believe them. Ryan has shown that he is dishonest. Ryan has shown that he is immature. Ryan has shown that he is petty because he's like all of these behaviors. Again, I don't know this person personally, but what we're seeing on the show is that. And that's just a person, when you see all of those traits in a person and you're looking for a healthy relationship, it will behoove you to go in the opposite direction of a person like him. That's really all I have to say about Ron. Like, I'm not going to go too far into detail about what the back and forth was. I honestly don't even feel like it's a point for them to keep having these discussions. Like, y'all know what Ryan is. I get it's a show, and I get that you kind of have to, let it play out because it's good for TV. But it perpetuates, in my opinion, poor behavior. I don't like his behavior. I don't like what he's done. So, as far as Alexis goes, like, sometimes we don't have to get to the bottom of it, right? If you get to the bottom of it, what is it going to do for you? Like, that's what you have to ask yourself. If me digging and trying to figure out why he did this and why he does that, like, if is that really going to help you? And if it's really not going to help you, don't waste your time. Like, I wouldn't waste my time. For what? I see him for what he is. But when it comes down to somebody like Ron, let Ron do Ron until Ron hits his bottom and he learns it's time to grow up and it's time to do the right thing, right? Until then, I wouldn't even entertain anything with Ron. Now, I am going to say this. As far as that exchange with Amber and Ron, really pay attention. I want to know if you guys caught this. Let me know if you caught this. Ron said we never had a connection, and Amber kind of like skipped over it. KG, honey, you got to be careful. Just be careful. The flags are flagging, okay? But she kind of skipped over the question. Ryan did get caught in a lie where we went on several dates, then it went to one date. But he said we didn't have a connection. Like, sometimes there's truth in a lie, right? And although because of how he's operating, no one is going to listen to him now, there are some things that Ryan is putting down, like the whole Alexis and how AJ mistreated Alexis. Is like, no one can deny it, but they don't really want to address it. And it's because he's been so dishonest in how he's been operating and moving. Like, basically, he's been keeping crap going, according to what they're saying and what we're seeing. But still, there was still that portion in there where it's like, oh, so we didn't have a connection. And Amber kind of, we're not going to address this. We're going to stay on this train because I'm going to deflect, right? So she basically was deflecting. KG. Okay, that's all I got to say, honey. Keep your eyes open. So next we revisit the fellas and their fellowship and them coming together and just how they were transparent with one another and able to be vulnerable, which is huge to me. And I honestly commend it. And I think for both genders in our community, that's something that we need to do. Like, it's okay to feel. It's okay to love. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to communicate. We don't have to keep these walls up. And I know a lot of us have been taught that, but it's only holding us back. So I appreciate the revisit. And then Tommy said, you guys should have your own gentleman's lounge. And that's true. And I think the ladies should as well. Everybody needs a place of encouragement, uplifting, and just so you're not in things alone, and you can learn from people. You can learn how to operate in ways that you probably never thought that you could, you never thought was possible, or you never heard of. And they talked about Jason, and Jason stated that they revisited when Jason was saying that he's not used to women saying things nice to him, like he didn't come from an encouraging background. I would love to explore that more, honestly, but I've said all my reviews that Jason is like a kid in a candy store. Like, I commend him because he does try to operate better. He's still learning. I still think there's some maturity that needs to happen. If him and Liz stays together and it works out, I think her presence will help with that. But I really appreciated the bromance between the gentlemen. And then we got to Stacy and Chrysanthemum, and they talked about how they call themselves the frickin' frack, and all the guys were saying how they were uncomfortable with being, with courting them or pursuing them, because it's like you got one and the other. Now, some of the men like AJ, and I think probably a few others, probably wanted to run game. Ron, they wanted to run game and play games, and they didn't want one to have more information on them. They didn't want them to share and all of that. But Stacy made a good point. Like, y'all can get together and collaborate. Why can't we? And that is so true. Like, men, because they're sports based and team based, they operate out of a team. Very, very rarely. Like, Ron is abnormal. It's not normal for a guy, unless he is shady. It's not really normal for a guy to out the other guys, no matter what. Like, if you look at the exchange between Jason and Ron, when Ron was trying to plead his case, and Jason pretty much was like, yeah, man, all you need to do is, like, we made our mistakes, we just got to move on, basically, is what Jason's trying to say. It kind of goes that way. But with women, it's more like, let's get together and then tear each other apart. No, you can't be friends. It's the friendship and fellowship isn't promoted in the female community as much as it is in the male. And that's something that needs to change, because when it comes down to people pursuing another person's man and things like that, you need to have a certain amount of respect. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen in the male community, but men are taught to be a team. Women are taught not to trust women, and we have to learn to trust one another, and like have a true sisterhood with one another, and not go against each other, and hold each other accountable. Like, I would like to see more of that in the female community. So I agree with Stacy there. Now, if you watched my review from that episode, though, I did say you got to be careful with friends who overstep, though. Like, everybody has to play their role and respect boundaries. I don't want my friend going to a guy that I'm dating, telling him what he needs to do, right? You don't need to insert yourself. There's a way to be there for your friend and support your friend without overstepping. And I think sometimes that's the issue. It's how you operate in fellowship with your friend, not the fellowship. Although I still say we need more of it. I hope that makes sense, what it is I'm trying to say. But I get what Stacy is saying. I agree with Stacy. I also get what the fellas were saying, and I agree, because I talked about that in that review. There's a fine line, and everybody wants to know that the conversation between them is intimate and that the relationship is intimate, right? So you just have to assure the person that's that. But also, people come with preconceived notions of what women do. Like, we just sit around and gossip. And I'm here to tell you, my uncle used to own a barbershop, and men do way more gossiping than women. They do a lot of gossiping. So some of it is preconceived, but definitely more fellowship amongst the women. We need that, because we need to love and support each other more. I'm gonna tell you something too that I noticed. KG is like the friend of the females. He really is, because Chris was like, yep, facts, when Tommy was talking about maybe the men were intimidated. Chris like, yep, KG, that's what I think. Which tickled me. So next up, we revisit the Kyra, Alexis, and AJ triangle, and how hard of a time AJ had deciding on Kyra. Deciding on Kyra. This is what I'm going to say. Number one, if a person tells you they don't want you, I don't care how they tell you. I don't care if they say, I don't want you, I don't want to be with you, or they show you by not making you a priority, not respecting your time, not respecting your feelings, not trying to protect your heart, not honoring their word. However, because all of those things say that you're not a priority to me. AJ has been showing Alexis, you're not a priority to me. She just has to accept that. That they showed a clip of her talk, when he basically was like, let me shut you up and I'm going to give you a kiss. And I'm in pursuit of you. Just know right now, be with me today. And right now, I'm in pursuit of you. But he never showed you that he was really truly pursuing you. His actions, again, actions and words, they have to line up. His actions never lined up that he was in pursuit of you. You DM'd him on your birthday. He didn't make plans with you on your birthday. Like, Alexis is a beautiful woman and I enjoyed watching her on the show. But when someone shows you that they don't want you and they don't want you, you have to accept that. Now with Ron felt like it was okay to disrespect Alexis because Alexis allowed AJ to disrespect Alexis. You got to always remember with men, once if they're not a man of integrity, okay, if they haven't matured, if they see that you will let someone abuse or mistreat you, they're going to do it. Now, a man of integrity is not going to do that. A man of integrity is going to remove himself, right? But if he is not, he will play that game with you. Some men will string you along. AJ strung Alexis along, but he really didn't because he made it be known he really wasn't intentional with her. And you just have to identify that and move differently and make a decision because you can't have like they did me wrong kind of conversation when you are allowing them to mistreat you. I've said from day one that AJ is a player. And in my last episode, my last review, and I stand on what I said, AJ is chasing something different because he has his past issues. I think on my third or fourth review, I talked about he has some trauma that he has to deal with, and it's obvious. I see what it is. I see what I think it is because I don't know him personally. Let me say that. But with that, until he deals with that, until he deals with the issue he has with women and the issue he has with safety and all of those things, he is going to operate how he operates. And when you see somebody like that, when you see that a person isn't going to commit, they're not being honest, they're not making you a priority, you have to listen. You are responsible for loving and protecting yourself. People aren't going to always do that for you, so you can't expect that, right? Everybody was raised different. They have different experiences, different hurts, different pains, and that's what a person operates out of. That's what AJ operates out of. The only person that I know of, because I haven't watched everybody else's reviews and everything. I haven't had time to catch up. But when you talk about how he operates with everyone else, the only person that he's put any effort in is Kyra. You only see him put effort into his relationship with Kyra. And again, like I said on the last review, I think Kyra reminds him of his mom. I think he's been trying to please his mom, and I think he's trying to please Kyra. I think that's what that's about. He may get with Kyra and just decide, you know what, no. But whatever the case may be, that's what's happening here, and it's like, I don't know why Alexis keeps doing that to herself. Like, you deserve so much better. And the fact that Kyra and AJ started talking afterwards, I just don't understand what's happening. It's like, when a person says, however they say, I don't want you, they don't want you. And you have to walk away. Protect yourself. Protect your feelings. Protect your heart. Guard your heart, Well, apparently AJ was dating Kyra after the show. And Alexis, again, like I said, reached out to AJ, and they started dating after the show. And like I said, Alexis, that should have been deaded. But AJ, here's the thing. He's like, okay, I decided that I was interested in her, but we're just dating because I guess him and Alexis went out, they did selfies, and they kissed. And Alexis like, well, I didn't know that they were. Alexis, girl, you got to keep it real. You don't really care if they're pursuing someone else. You just want them to choose you. That's what you want, right? And he didn't choose you. Don't let him keep hurting you, you know? And as far as with Alexis, I mean, as far as Kyra's still kind of like, well, you know. So the bottom line is, Kyra and AJ are having battle of the masculine energy, battle of the ego, and battle of the I'm not gonna let you get me and hurt me, you know. But again, time is a very expensive commodity. You can't get time back. You can never get tomorrow back. So why you waste your time? You know, like I can see on the show because you signed up for a show and ultimately it's entertainment, right? But after the show, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And Kyra said when she went out of town, like apparently she went on vacation and she made a point to keep in contact with AJ, but AJ was dealing with Alexis. It's like, first off, if no one has committed, everybody has the right to date, right? That's number one. But number two, why would anybody want to move forward when everything has been so confusing and been so much of a mess? Like, why move forward in a situation that isn't benefiting you? I think that's my only takeaway. But sometimes you got to just drop the ego. You know, you can't go by your ego. You got to use logic. You got to take all emotions out of it and think about the big picture. And nothing about those relationships are healthy. Now, I did get a chance to watch I watched like the 9-minute segment of Little Black Book, which I like him. I've been following him for years now. Little Black Book had a small segment from his interview that he did with AJ. I didn't watch that interview because I think it's like 2 hours long, but I did watch the 9-minute segment, and AJ was saying how on him and Kyra's second date, but he was saying like they didn't get along on that date. Like the date was bad. So it wasn't just the fact that, you know, he couldn't pay the bill. It was the date didn't go well because he showed up, how he showed up, he wasn't dressed appropriately and all these other things. So it's like you guys have been having this confusion from the beginning. Like, what are y'all doing? I don't know. All I have to say, my ultimate takeaways is you got to love yourself first. You have to respect yourself, and that way you can demand that people respect you. Don't let your ego be your guide, because that's gonna always end badly. Don't let your ego be your guide. And when someone shows you who they are, and when someone lets you know that they don't value you as a person, you have to love yourself enough to walk away. You have to respect yourself enough to walk away. You know what I mean? So that's really all I have to say about tonight's episode. Let me know your thoughts and your views down below. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for coming back. If you are a new subscriber, thank you for subscribing. Thank you guys for the thumbs up and just for interacting. I appreciate you for who you are. I want you to love you for who you are. Thank you for letting me speak. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Be safe. Bye-bye.